I had to make an adjustment there to my stand, and fortunately it's finally a little bit warmer here. But what I'm working on, I'm going to be doing a primitive trade knife using some chalk white elk antler and a leaf spring hand forged blade. Before we get into this too much, please hit that subscribe button, and we're going to get right at it. So what I have here, one, I want to get this down just a little bit. So what I've done, I went ahead and I've ground a bevel to my tang. So I'm actually going to drive this on, and then I'm going to drill it, pin it, and pour a pewter bolster. Now, before I do that, I want to soften my tang, so I make sure that that is plenty soft enough. Now, you can see some color here from where I was grinding it, but I'm going to use my Atlas forge right here, and I'm going to run that tang, that color on the tang just a little bit more. Now, why would I want my tang softer than what it currently is? One, for drilling. Two, generally you don't want a real hard tang on a knife, because what can happen is you can have at a stress point, you can have it break. I think this is going to be a pretty cool build. I'm hoping we're going to find out. It's YouTube Live, so if it doesn't work out, the only thing I can do is delete it. Alright, once more, please hit that subscribe button. So what's going to happen is the heat from the end of the tang is actually going to start working its way towards the shoulder, and I want to get it probably a little over halfway. Now, if the end of that tang gets red, not a big deal. And later on in another video, I'm actually going to be doing a pewter pour, which is one of the techniques that traditionally would have been used, and one of the techniques we still use in the shop today. Let me grab some gloves. Now, I started doing pewter pommels and bolsters on my knives. One, because I thought it was cool. I wanted to experiment with some casting, and also, see how they got red, and we've softened the blood, the tang, but not the blade. But also because in cooler weather where I'm at here, it can take a while for epoxy to cure. So the pewter's one way of fixing this, that it's going to work pretty good. And it's just it's another part of bladesmithing that I can kind of participate in, that I can do, and that I enjoy. So, how am I going to proceed from here? Well, pretty simple. We're going to come over here, and if you have a log, something that you can stick your blade into, that's pretty handy. I'm going to get a mallet. Hey, I still appreciate you watching. I appreciate that. Keep in mind that tang is still quite hot. We had a red heat at the very tip of this for the most part, not for about that much. And you can see how much this blade is now softened from how much color is run. Now, I'm going to take this elk antler that I've already drilled out some, and a mallet, and I'm going to just kind of tap this down until I get it to the point that I want it, or until the antler splits, and then I'm going to cuss. Now, the reason that I've got this stuck into a section of my railing here, forged memory, instead of using a vise, is because one, the hammering on it, it's going to slide in the vise, and two, that's what I did. I actually could have grabbed a section of log and done this as well. And now I have an okay fit up. Now, Is there play in this? Absolutely. Yes, there is. So what are we going to do? You guys are going to watch, and I'm going to go to the back and drill this. All right, here we go. Wondering if I still got taco stuff back here. Where I've got my drill press and is pretty close to my kitchen. Oh, I still got taco stuff. Okay, and then I'm going to eat tacos after I'm done. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to come in here and turn that on. Start going in. Start right there. All right. It's getting pretty good. But I marked it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to drill through my handle material, which is actually quite toasty from having that hot steel in there. And now, just to make sure that I'm hitting this square, I'm going to come in. Oh, wow. That's still pretty hard steel. Now, I may have rolled the bit. Let's find out. This used to be a commercial kitchen at one point before I bought this property. So it's been a lot of things. This at one point this building was either a bank or a post office, and during the oil boom days, probably, well, I think the south one was a brothel, maybe. At least one of the rooms was used for it. All right, let's get one of these cobalt 1/8 inch out. And I'm going to see if it cuts, and if not, that still feels pretty decent. If it skates a little bit, we're going to heat it again. Oh, there we go. It is cutting. Trying to maintain consistent pressure. Probably should use some cutting oil, but I'm not. And we got through. All right. Well, I guess I over breakfast in the morning. There we go. All right. Got a drill. Well, hell, I wasn't going to show the whole building, or the whole build in one video. Yeah. Like I said, this is an old building here. It's a pretty good sized building, though. So, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut a piece of pin stock and I'm going to pin this. Pretty simple. And I've still got my forge on. I'm going to use it for doing the pewter. Now there's a couple ways that you can do this. I'm just going to show you a real simple, real basic way to go about that. And that is, get yourself a caliper, measure on either side, okay? That's how long my pin needs to be. Place your caliper jaw on top, and then I use my thumb just to mark the lower portion, not the inner, but the outer portion of the lower jaw. Okay? Take my handy dandy little cutters here. And there we have it. So now, in comparison, I have an over-length pin, which I want because I'm going to grind one end. No matter, you can do both. You only need to do one end conical, so that it helps with alignment when it goes through. I'm just going to turn the camera here. Let me go over to the grinder. conical end. Okay. That's looking good. What do I do next? Well, I need to level my handle because you can see one side's higher than the other. I'm going to do that real quick on the grinder. There we go. Got it lined up again, reasonably square. And then I'm just going to go ahead, give a few taps. Come on, you dirty son. All right, there we go. So you can see how that protrudes through now, and that locks everything in. It's actually not a bad fit. A little bit of play, but we're going to take that play out. How are we going to do that? You guys are going to watch me. That's how. All right. Let me move a few things here, and I'm going to get some HVAC tape. Okay, HVAC tape, aluminum duct tape, essentially. Okay, so I can see right here, in order to do what I'm wanting to do, my pins are going to have to be shortened. So I'm just going to take my pins down real quick. You guys probably want to come back here with me. It's not like it's that exciting, but hey, it's a part of the process. Once more, please subscribe to my channel. So now I've got those pins ground down. I will end up hitting this with a finishing belt after I stain it. And there is a reason I use chalk white elk antler. It's one of my favorite materials to use. The reason I use chalk white is because there's a lot of mineralization in this, from where the in this case the elk, where the elk, you know, like ate dirt and licked on rocks and salt and whatever. Well, that ends up in its skeletal structure, and part of that skeletal structure is right here. Okay, so I'm going to run this up just a little bit, and I'm going to wrap it around. And then I'm just running my fingers around the tape to get it to conform to the antler. Now, before I finish this, I want to go get just something small, a paintbrush handle or a pencil. I'm probably going to grab a small file. Give me a second. Nail would work. This is one of Cheyenne's files she left here. And I'm just going to keep working around to get as much contact as I can. One, I don't want to have a mess here on my hands. literally. And you can see there's a little bit of gap back here. So I'm actually going to add a little more tape because I want to be able to pour up to the bottom of the blade. And how am I going to ensure that? Well, pretty simple. There's got to be a better way. I've only had this vise over here. I'm going to run this up to the back of the blade, maybe just slightly higher, and I'm going to wrap that around. And I should be pretty okay on that. Now, one thing you do have to watch about using bone or antler or anything like that, you've got to be pretty cautious that hold on. You got to be pretty cautious that you don't have that you come through the material and burn yourself. And also, you have to be cautious about the heat from the molten pewter. If it's too much, this glue will let go, and it will not be very fun. All right. Well, guys, it's time. I'm going to lose these, and I'm going to get some safety glasses on, and we're going to do a pewter pour. I hate having paper laying around the shop like this, so like anytime I get extra paper, I end up throwing it into the forge to get rid of it. Like that. So, I almost need an extra set of hands as I get ready to do this. It doesn't have to be that hot. Just as a precautionary, I'm going to get another beacon of pewter, and you can actually melt this with a propane torch or whatever. I need to turn my pressure up. That's the reason the forge is doing what it's doing right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to pour in the side here. This side sticks out a little more, so I'm going to go so it's just got a little more clearance. And I'm going to angle this to allow for the uneven front and back shoulder to compensate. It's self-leveling, being that it's going to be liquid. There's a lot of ash on top of this. All right, we just went molten. There it is. You guys can see that. But now I just wait for it to cool, which means I can't move a whole lot. There's a stage, like right now, this is pretty much solid. but it's still shiny. You want it to go frosted. And now it frosts. That means that it's stable enough. Sorry, there you go. Now that it is frosted, it's stable enough for me to remove the tape without having anything bad happen. And I'm not seeing any pewter coming out, any of these fissures or anything. So that's positive. All right, guys. Now, it's not a bad idea to wait just a couple moments here. Don't get in a hurry about taking that tape off, because if by chance you have liquid under here, now it's probably only going to be, I don't know, 375, 400 and some degrees. It's still going to burn like hell. Been there, done that. Low temp burns hurt a lot. And what I have here right now is something I'm really liking, because I just like cool stuff like this. Okay. We're going to give it just a moment. I'm going to blow my nose because I got sinus issues going on. But I'm going to take that tape off here in just a second. So, here's what I'm going to do. Hey, look, something pointy. Now, the pewter does add quite a bit of weight to this piece. It casts like lead. It pours like lead. Okay. And while this is still warm, to say the least, it's a lot easier to remove that tape because the adhesive is getting kind of thin, kind of runny. Okay? All right. Now, what I really wish I had right now is a small paintbrush, and I don't, so I'm going to improvise. I'm going to make this look really cool, and by really cool, I mean cool to me. I'm going to shake up this can, and this is some Minwax Dark Walnut 2716. I like Minwax Dark Walnut. This has to be my favorite stain to use. I'm not getting any kickback from Minwax. I'm not getting any kickback from Atlas. But these are products that I use. Also Hammer by Trent and Ty, Purgatory Iron Works. So what I'm going to do is now, let me show you my cool trade knife, my belt knife. That'd be heavy for a scalper. And I'll tell you what, that brass pin right there is really hot right now because there's still hot pewter inside this. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to the grinder and I'm going to clean up that bolster. Now, right now, we've got a lot of white on here. We've got in the white blade, we have the silver or white color of the pewter, the brass pin, and then the white chalk elk antler. And the white chalk elk antler, one of my favorite materials to use, is going to look really awesome by the time we're done. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. Which I was going to split this up into different videos, but hell, I'm at 25 minutes in and we're doing quite well. Once more, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to get some safety glasses. And we're going to go over here to the grinder again. And I'm going to switch out. Now, this is just a cheap grinder I have. This is a mini dictator. I bought several of these. I just gave one away. The first one I bought, I gave to a friend of mine for helping me move stuff in my shop. And I get a lot of use out of these. They're reliable. I end up replacing wheels on them, of course. And now I have I want to say this is probably a 10-inch serrated contact. And what I'm going to do, the only issue with this one is sometimes the the tensioner doesn't quite catch up with the rest of the process and throws belts. But I have a very worn 36 grit zirconium belt that I'm going to load up with some pewter, and I'm going to get that cleaned up. Might even take it down in the back just a little bit while we're doing this. Now my blade is only finished to an 80 grit. I'm going for a primitive stone finish, if you will. And I would generally run up to probably 120 and then run through Scotch-Brite, but this is a different build I'm doing. Okay, so here we go. And you can see how that's working down. Now you can see how that formed quite nicely. We got a nice bolster. Kind of blocky right here. Let's take that in just a little bit. Now I've just tapered that back some. We'll do a little more on this side. Okay, so I'm liking the way that looks. Still pretty rough, but I've got the start of a good knife right here, people. Okay. So now, what's the next step in the process? Well, Scotch-Brite. Now, these are not Scotch-Brite brand. These are surface conditioners, which I usually get from Sean Ryan at Phoenix Abrasives. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not even sure what color this one was. That is how worn this was either gray or blue. And it is loaded up with all kinds of nastiness, which is just perfect for what I'm getting ready to do. Okay, now, on this grinder, it has a tendency to throw these belts, so let's find out. Okay, not too bad. So, what I'll be doing now, I'm going to clean up that bolster, and then I'm just going to do a light light sanding essentially on the handle. That is a gray belt. It is too light. Okay, so I'm going to put it to the side for now. And I'm going to go for either a red or a blue. Hold on just a second. Let's try a blue. This should be equivalent to about a 220. And this one, I do have to be cautious about it getting kicked off. Apply the electric pressure. Run it to the side. Here we go. All right. Keep in mind, primitive till. So now, chalk white elk antler. Check out the colors. We've got pinks. There's some yellow, maybe some orange. Some of these you can get some really awesome colors. We'll start to take down some of that crumbly bark. Start working it around. And I'm not trying to take a whole lot off of this, and that's one reason I'm using Scotch-Brite, or the surface conditioner rather. All right, getting to a cool part. Now, I'm going to let you know, I'm probably not going to sharpen this on camera just because there's no need for me to. But what I am going to do, I'm going to show you guys something that is pretty awesome. Okay, move my hammer because I don't need it right now. And let me see if I can. God, I really want to wear gloves for this. Go find some gloves. Once more, if I go in the back and get some of the, go in the south building and get some of the little paint brushes, that would be really helpful right now, but I don't think I need them. Food service gloves, let's use those. Okay, so I need some paper towels because one of them is going to end up being my paintbrush, so to speak. You can use a sponge brush for this. I caution using a sponge brush on leather dye because, well, frankly, it eats that stuff up. All right, so I've got a couple of gloves right there. And never pry with a file or a knife tip. Because it doesn't work. Okay, hold on. And you know, the thing is, if you wipe the bottom of your lid off before you reseat it, it doesn't stick as bad. Okay, so there's my Minwax. Get a couple gloves here. All right. Remember, chalk white elk antler. Don't go buy all of it because I like to use this stuff, but your chalk white antlers can take on some really beautiful coloration just due to natural mineralization and erosion. And you can do full saturation on this, or you can do a lighter pass. And you see, like the lighter pass, I'm actually getting some transition to the coloration. And a lot of times I will do that intentionally so that I have a lighter transitional color or color scheme going up to the bolster or to the pommel end. Come on, pretty awesome. Now, like the deeper cracks in the antler, I do try to get into those because I wasn't able to get the I couldn't get the surface conditioner down into them. And I kind of want, a look without the big white streaks. And also the reason I haven't sharpened this yet, sharpening is generally my last step next to adding a rust inhibitor. The reason I haven't sharpened it yet is clearly because I'm not being overly cautious about this. And I mean, this blade's pretty flat on the edge. There's a couple point areas I could probably cut myself, but wow, what can I say about that besides awesome? Guys, check that out. So wow, what I had was some ugly antler that most people would have said, I'm not even sure if I'd give my dog that piece to chew on. And now we have a rather attractive piece right here. Okay, cool. We're not done. We've got one more step of the process, people. And of course, I still have to sign this, and I have to sharpen it and all. Also, let me show you a little trick. Once you're done with your nasty stuff, grab that in your gloved hand. Pull your glove inside out. Grab, pull again. Contained, and doesn't look like I've been playing in the pig pen. Well, compared to normal. I'll be right back. All right. Putting some terrible gloves on again. Guys, check that out. That could be a pretty badass kitchen knife even. That's awful heavy for a kitchen knife, but Let's go over here to the grinder again. We're over here 2x72. And this is loaded up with stuff that's putting a lot of streaks on this that I almost kind of like. Here's what we're going to do. You remember that gray belt that I said it's just not, wasn't cutting it, no pun intended. I'm going to go back to that. Here we go. Let's get that on there. Where we start adding contrast into our piece. We start to add just some subtle light contrast. Okay, still got to do some finishing to the blade. Not a big deal. But what more can we do? One, I can lay that down, take my gloves off. Get a paper towel. And since this has been as dry as it is, I'm going to apply some boiled linseed oil. Now, sometimes this will pull some of the stain off. Now, as nasty as it looked, I call this a fair improvement. And it'll let a little bit of that oil soak in. Take off some of the excess. Keep scrubbing. Now, sometimes I'll use some wicked wax on the handle. I believe it's beeswax based. All right. There you have it. Just needs to be sharpened, signed, and you can see where where it smudged into the grinding grooves and so forth on that bolster, and I think that looks kind of cool. I may clean that up some more, but right there's my primitive knife build. Something to serve you well. Be sure to check me out on Forged in Fire Season 4, Episode 2, Deerhorn Knives, and Season 1, Episode 1, Master of Arms on Discovery Channel. Find me on Facebook or Instagram, and you can come to our location here at 409 North Main Street in St. Elmo, Illinois, just off Interstate 70 or Route 40. And you can too forge a memory. We offer forging experiences. We also have an axe throwing venue. Cheyenne has an oddity shop next door. And that right there makes me really happy, people. Thank you. Please, again, subscribe, tell your friends, share this out, be creative. Catch you guys a bit later.